Hi, my name is Brenda Titus. Welcome to my video series, My Year Recovering from Retinal Detachment. This is the 30th video in this video series, and so if you haven't seen the prior videos, I definitely recommend that you go back and you can check them out from the beginning, or if there's a particular part that you are most interested in, we go from, diagnosis through surgery, through recovery, through cataracts, through dry eye. We go through a lot. And so I definitely recommend that you check out the other videos. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a 1-year anniversary of my second retinal detachment and also celebrating some new normal. So the last time I came out, I actually said that I was about to go on vacation, and I did go on vacation. I had a wonderful and amazing time. I definitely thought about my healing process, which is kind of the point of today's video. And I did consider doing a video while I was gone, but I actually want to talk a little bit about that too and why I decided to wait. So with that, as a reminder, I am not a medical professional. I am just here to share my own personal experience. And so if you have any concerns about your vision, your eyes, please go and seek medical attention. You might also notice I'm in my hypnosis office today. And so again, I actually debated about doing this video about my personal life in my hypnosis office. However, I think that in the end, as I thought about it, I realized that regardless, it's all me. This is my journey and my life, and this was where I was when I actually had the time to sit down and do some recording. And so I decided to go ahead, and I realized that today I'm going to be referring to a couple of episodes of Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office during this video. And so I thought, well, it's probably a good time to just acknowledge that, sometimes I do my videos at a home studio, my dining room, and sometimes I do it here in the hypnosis office, literally with the background that my clients see when they're talking to me, which does feel kind of nice to me to be here to be able to help people. So with that, I'm going to give you an update. So right before I left for my vacation, literally the Friday before I left on Sunday, I picked up my new glasses. So as a little bit of a reminder, I had gone through a lot of challenges with my vision. I'd gotten a prism glasses, and they actually were causing me an incredible amount of pain and discomfort, as well apparently as I was also experiencing dry eye, which my doctor wanted me to be doing some treatment for. But regardless, right before the vacation, I received my new glasses, and so I have been wearing these new glasses pretty much ever since. And I can definitely tell that whatever it was with the prisms, they weren't really doing what they was the goal of what prisms were. So the truth is that my eyes still do not align together. So basically what happens is that I have kind of some double vision, and when I have more energy and I'm in a better mood, I can kind of adjust or kind of blink a couple of times and they'll go back into alignment and I can see a little bit better. But it is something that like I said, I had been really trying to manage and navigate before I went on my vacation. And so I did go on that vacation. I admit I went with some trepidation. I was nervous. I admittedly have poor vision, and I was nervous about missing a step and tripping and stumbling or not being able to see the directions. And you know what? It honestly really was incredible. It was exhausting, but it also was really incredible because I think in retrospect, I was out of my normal everyday life. And so in my normal everyday life, I look around and I expect to see a certain way from all of the years that I've been alive, all the years that I've been in my office, all the years that I've lived in my home, that I've driven around in my community, that I've seen my friends and family and lived life. I have a certain expectation around how I should be able to see. And so it can be very frustrating to me living my normal everyday life and not being able to live up to my expectations. And obviously, I work with my clients with that all the time. And so I'm very aware of the deep disappointment and emotional distress over that. And so it is something that I've been definitely dealing with throughout all of this time. However, so on vacation, it was like everything that I saw, that I'd say, look, I can see this thing, I can see that thing, I can see the restroom sign, I can see the exit sign, I didn't fall, I didn't stumble, and so it was really exciting for that part, because I really felt like, oh, my brain actually getting out of my normal everyday life, that being in a new environment, a different environment for several weeks, actually really helped me kind of feel like I was learning, and my brain was learning what it could do, what it was capable, what my brain and my vision were able to do working together. And so for that, it was really, really wonderful. I also am really happy because I was literally in places and during the time of year exactly of when I had my retinal detachment. And so originally I really did think, I would do some fun video and celebrate, look at, here I am. But the reality is that there were some days where, even though I was having an amazing time and I was really enjoying myself, but there was always a little bit of that underlying current between myself and my husband, who also knows a lot about, he teaches psychology, so he knows about, how the mind works and how we process these different, things, and the anniversary effect, and pairing a symptom, and being in the same place at the same time. He knows all of those things. And so it felt kind of triggering for me to have to suck him into doing a video during that time. We wanted to just go and enjoy our vacation. So I thought about it, but I thought it would be better to just wait until I got home and do this on my own. But that does actually remind me that on the Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office part of my channel, I do have a couple of videos that I had been doing beforehand. And I really, sometimes those Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office, they really are kind of a way for me to give back, to share about hypnosis, how the mind works, and to just kind of share what I'm thinking about or what I'm learning from my clients. And sometimes it really is a little bit of my own therapy, being able to kind of process how I'm thinking about this anniversary issue, or how I'm thinking about how, the mind pairs, a date and a time with and a location with a feeling or a thought or a belief. And so I had been working on this, like the anniversary effect I did, and a couple of other things that I had been, that I've recorded through my Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office, as just kind of like ways to prepare my mind. And so you can go check those out if you're interested. And I just looked at my notes, and the other one was on the new normal. So I had really been doing a lot for this trip to be thinking about, well, what is my new normal? What is my new normal to go to Europe, to go and be traveling and to be visually impaired? Or what is my new normal? What can I expect for my vision to get better even? I think I recently did a video about, I think that one, the new normal, was the new normal after a major diagnosis or some such. So I really was thinking about a lot of those things during that time. And it was actually really interesting. So when I was talking about the anniversary that was coming up, and it was, like I said, we were on a trip, we were in France, and we were approaching the date of when I had my retinal detachment last year. We were also approaching the city that we were in, and it wasn't like on this trip we weren't in the exact same cities on the exact same dates, so it was a little bit different. So it was actually really interesting. I wanted to share here where for me the date was really important to me. But then I asked my husband, and he said, well, it was that the location was very important to him, that he felt like, well, being in that same location, and close in time, but really the same location, that was really where the emotion felt, kind of tied to that place, that city. And like I said, I felt a little bit more according to the date, even though they were very close. So it was really interesting for us both to kind of think about that and to recognize that we each kind of had a different idea of how we were experiencing what I call the anniversary effect. I did experience some different times where during those couple of days leading up to the anniversary where I was very sensitive about my eyes. I was, dealing with the dry eye. Being back on the tour bus actually kind of sent me into a little bit of like feeling, oh gosh, the last time I was on a tour bus, I was going through a major medical emergency, and all that stuff. So there was, I think that one actually was a big surprise to me that I went through that. And so there were some different things, and we were really honest with the people that we were traveling with, that we were really trying to do some things different than, even though we were on the same tour, the same locations, the same cities, different people. So we really decided that we were going to do some things differently in some of the cities that we had been in last year leading up to the retinal detachment. And so I thought that was kind of helpful to share, just when I talk about like this anniversary effect, or how we can get through difficult times and trying to experience things differently. And so I just kind of wanted to share that. Now, let's see. So that's kind of, where I'm at right now. I was very excited to celebrate the end of the tour. I think actually, as I was able to open up and talk about, with our fellow travelers about, what had happened last year, and the looks of shock from people, and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you went through that, and look at how far you've come. Super sweet. I so appreciate that. Also, it was the first time I'd really been outside of my own personal, close friends and family and clients in so long, in, a year and a half really that I'd been out in the world all that much. So it was actually really interesting. I talked to different people who either knew someone who'd experienced a retinal detachment, so they were, would be really curious, and we'd talk about it. And so that was really neat. And in all honesty, this really touches the part of why I do these videos, is that there was a man who was on my trip, and after a few days, he and I, we hadn't really sat and talked at meals or what have you, but we were sitting at a meal, and that was when he learned what I was going through, or what I had experienced was this retinal detachment. And he said, that's what I have. And I looked at him, I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, I need to go home and have surgery for that. And I was like, okay, and I thought there's a little tiny bit of a language barrier. So I thought maybe we weren't talking about the same thing. And so I just, kind of supported him and said, yeah, you got to go get that get that checked out. It could really be, you really need to get it taken care of. And I know. And so after that meal, I actually talked to his wife for a few minutes, and I said, I said, is it true that he has a retinal detachment and he needs to have surgery? And she said, yes. He was really afraid of having the surgery, and so he decided that he was going to go on this trip first, before he got it taken care of. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, that I understand. And she said, but I really want you to thank you for talking to him, because now he feels more inspired and he feels more willing to go and have the surgery. And that really does mean a lot, because I know that on the first night I was so afraid of having that surgery, and I kind of thought, and I said, to myself, well, if the damage has already been done, why bother? And the truth is that, especially for my first eye, that yes, the damage was already done, but they were able to repair quite a bit of it. And so, I'm glad that I had this surgery, and as much as I've dealt with so much, and and so many challenges, and some aspects of my vision that could be permanent. There's so much to life, and the more that we can do to get like intervention and be able to get help, then the better. And so I'm really thankful that I was able to have that opportunity. And it is exactly why, I put out these videos and I share from my heart about what I've been going through, and share the updates, and hope to inspire, because, regardless if it's, a vision challenge, cataracts, retinal detachment, apparently macular pucker, sometimes medical intervention can really do wonders, and so so we want to keep that in mind. So so that's kind of what I want to share today. If you're interested in hearing more from a professional place than what I just shared personally, I recommend that you check out my video series, Thoughts from the Hypnosis Office. I have a couple of videos that are particularly in alignment with what I just talked about. One is the anniversary effect. One is the new normal after a major life incident. And of course, everything that I do over there, it's just, ways to be thinking about life and be able to, help in one way or the other. So whether you're here to learn about retinal detachment and cataracts, or you're here in wanting to learn how to, deal with things emotionally, I guess one way or the other, it's all me. Whether I'm at home doing my videos or I'm here in the office, I'm just here to, spread the word and be able to help people. And so with that, I thank you so much for joining me today. And I will be seeing my retinal specialist next week for my 1-year visit. I already saw that, we're still keeping an eye on my macula to see, if how it's recovering. And so, I'll come back in a couple weeks or so, and share what my next step of the journey is with that. And so with that, I wish you a wonderful day.